Good morning. Hohner Verdi restoration part 5, I do believe. So, last video did the pallets. Good, that's all nice. This one, just back to reeds again, because I've done all the triple-side reeds and they're fine. Now, having a look at the base reeds, there's an interesting thing happening. So, the higher pitch 2 sets of base reeds come out on the reed block like that, and I've just removed the reeds, cleaned them, valved them, waxed them, just as I did on the treble side. So that's exactly the same really, not much different. The only difference really is that you've got a bit more gaps between the reeds, so it's a little bit easier to do the waxing, but no difference at all there really. But the lower 2 sets of base reeds, so you've got 12 reeds here and 12 here, and those 12 are the kind of 12 notes in a scale, if you like, so from F sharp all the way up to F. But the interesting thing here is that the lower 2 reeds are on a reed block, but the reed block doesn't come out of the accordion. So what's happened is that it's actually glued down onto the base here, and it can't be removed. So for these 2 sets of reeds, what I'm going to have to do is leave this bit in because it's glued in anyway, and remove the reeds, clean them and revolve them and wax them back in with this reed block still here, because if I try and take this out, because it's glued in, I'll just destroy the wood. I'll just be pulling wood out, making a horrible mess. So it's not designed to be removed, it's designed to stay in place. So I'm going to actually do this bit with the reed block in situ. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just get set up and show you how I'm going to do that. Okay, so here we have the nice close-up of the reed block. So I'm going to take these reeds out, and before I take them out, I've just got to be sure that I know what order they go in. And what I've done, I've checked the pictures of these reeds, and one thing I've used is really useful is this. No, this is a really nice little, it's a kind of a tuner, or pitch pipes really, but it's got all the notes. So it's got the 12 notes in the chromatic scale, so it goes up from F, F sharp G, G sharp A, A flat B, B flat C, C sharp D, D sharp E, and back to F. So you've got the 12 notes in the scale. It's A440. So when I'm checking which reeds are where, I pluck that one, and I find on here, I think it's F sharp. There you are. So I've got an F sharp here, and as I go along, I know now that I'm going from F sharp chromatically upwards. So the next one is going to be a G. All the way back up to F. So I know then when I come to put the reeds back in, at this end is F sharp, and it goes chromatically up to G. So all I'm going to do with pencil is on this end of the reed block, I'm just going to put F sharp, and on this end I'm just going to put F. By using a pencil, you can always rub it off, so you're not going to cause a permanent mark on there. So that's fine. So now I know that when I take them all out, I can then ensure that they're in the correct place when I put them back in again. Great, so that's done. So the next step is to get them out. Now, if I turn it around that way, there are pins holding the base reeds in there, so they're waxed and pinned. So to get the pins out, it's just a question of finding an appropriate tool. So I've got some little screw pliers here that might do it. Yep, they do that quite nicely. So little pliers just in there. Pull the pins out first, because if you try and get the reeds out without the pins coming out, you're going to cause damage. When I wax the reeds back in, I'm not going to put pins back in because once I've waxed them in, I'm pretty sure that the reeds are going to be fine, going to be kind of solid, and there we. I don't put pins in, but they do put them in the factory for extra security, and it also just shows that I don't think this accordion's been touched inside since it was made, because this looks like factory fitted pins to me, and the valves, you know, they're so curled over, it's unbelievable. So I think these are original valves. So I think this is the first time this accordion has been serviced and overhauled, which is quite nice. So now I've got the pins out, then it's a question of getting the reeds out. Now this is where you have to be a bit careful, because if I keep it this way up and start poking around, what can happen is that any bits of wax and dirt and glue and stuff can fall down into the holes, if you like. And as soon as that happens, when you start pushing any of the buttons on the base side, you're going to start getting dirt and debris into the pallet, underneath the pallets and into the mechanism. I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to try to get anything into the base mechanism. So what I'm going to try and do is, when I'm doing the removal, which I'm going to have to use a fine blade, is keep it that way, so anything's going to fall this way rather than into the mechanism. So for this one, I'm going to get a fine blade, and I'm just going to very carefully put the blade underneath, as careful as I can, and that's it really. So just very careful, because I don't want to cause any damage to the wood, and I don't want to get any stuff into the base mechanism or onto the leather or anything like that. So that's what I'm going to do. So these are all going to come out. Actually come out fairly easily. So this is quite a common design on the base side. So I've seen it quite a few times, and it's fine. It's just a little bit more fiddly when you're waxing the reeds back in, and it's a little bit more fiddly when you're tuning, but not ever so. And I can, oh, that's a bit tight. It's just a bit more work really, but the key thing is not to try and take this out, this reed block, because if you do that, you're going to start splitting wood and causing all kinds of damage, and so it's not really what you should do. So there we are. So that's all out. I'm just going to give it a shake that way, get more that way, and then in a similar way to the treble side reed blocks, I'm going to remove this excess wax, but again I'm going to try and keep it that way so it all falls down, and clean off the reeds. So obviously the same thing as the treble side, pull off the valves, clean off the wax, pop them in the ultrasonic cleaner, give them a good old dry off, and then start waxing them in. So what I'll do now, I'll stop this, I'll clean all the reeds up just as I did for the treble side, and then when it comes to waxing them back in again, I'll start the video again and show how I would tackle waxing in these reeds as opposed to the treble side reeds. Okay, right, I'll stop that just for a minute. Okay, a little progress update now. So I've removed the lowest two sets of base reeds, cleaned them, revalved them and put them in the order from F sharp chromatically up to F. I've cleaned up the reed block that's fixed in place, and now I'm just leaning it like so. So I'm actually going to put the wax onto the reed block in this position, so any wax will run this way and not onto the leather of the pallets from the base side. So I don't want to get anything on there at all. I want to keep that completely clean. So that's why I'm going to have it like this. It's going to be a slightly more tricky waxing procedure, because I'm going to have to get the brush in carefully, but as long as I'm careful it should be okay. So I'll just put this camera onto my little tripod so I can actually have two hands free, and I'll do a little demo. Okay, I'm going to have to go on my knees and kneel down for this bit, because I'm actually having to go up at this angle, so I just got it balanced on a little tin there. So I've got my wax heated, got my brush ready, So I'm just going to now start this off, and I'll just do a couple and then I'll show you the end result. So just go in here now and just start this waxing manoeuvre. Gosh, this is quite tricky. I don't think I've ever done anything quite this tricky before, but there we go. Once that reed's in position, which is what I'm going to do, is move all of these out of the way. Just move everything across a little bit. So it's just makes it a bit less in the way. Go around there. That's not too bad actually. Once you get in position. What I might do is I might just turn it round and get a better view. There we go. So what I'll do, I'll just turn it around a little bit. There we go. I'm just going to. There you go. Just refocused it a bit as well. So then I got a better view. So do the same what I normally do with my wax. Actually, it's going a lot better than I thought it would actually. Nice and neat, and then the tricky little bit just at the top there. Okay, first one in. I'm going to keep going for a sec. I'll do two I think, and then I'll just do the rest of it off the camera. So just get that prepared. Oh gosh, this bit's a little bit tricky. There we go. Yeah, and I'm just gonna, because I've got a nice big gap down the middle as well. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of it off camera because it's just the same thing over and over again, but that's my technique, so I'll show you what it looks like when I've got this set of reeds in. Okay, here we go. So I've just done the trickiest side, so that's all waxed in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip it over and now do the second side. So I'm going to just put this back over on the tripod and then I'll show you myself doing the second side. Here we go. Okay, this is a little bit easier because it's a little bit more open. So I'm going to start with my F sharp, bring my wax over here. So let's get this first one in. It's quite nice doing this, it's a bit of a different kind of waxing. It's a little bit more of a challenge, which is quite interesting really. There we go. That's there. Yeah, this side is a lot more straightforward. I might just turn it around again. There we are. So same thing again, just going to wax in all of these reeds, and then once these are in, that's all the reeds waxed, and then I'll leave these for a day, or leave them overnight at least, and then after that I can just start assessing the tuning and what tuning needs to be done, but what I will do, so I always do really, is just try it out without doing any tuning, just to see where things are, and it just gives you an idea of how well you've done it in terms of cleaning and rewaxing, evolving and everything. It gives you a chance to just assess that without the tuning, and then after that do some tuning, so that will be fun. So I'll just put this first one in like so. So I'm just going to go along, I'll finish off that line and show when it's done. Okay, so there we are, that's the other set of bass reeds waxed in, and then this is the higher two sets of bass reeds that I've done. So then they're going to go in there. So I think what I'm going to do is leave all this for overnight, and then I'm going to put everything back together, and I think in my next video I'll just show you what everything sounds like having done the palettes and all of the reeds, and just give it a little blow and a test play and just see what the difference is so far before doing any of the other work. So the other work will be tuning, obviously, and I'm also going to have a look at the bellows gasket, so I think I'm going to replace that as well, and then I'll see what else needs to be done. Okay, thanks for watching.